The key turned in the lock for the first time, and I swear I felt something shift in my chest. 10 years. 10 years of ramen dinners, second-hand furniture, and saying no to every invitation that cost more than $20. But here I was, standing in the doorway of my own home. My name is Sandra, and at 33, I'd finally done it. The mortgage papers were signed, the deed had my name on it, and nobody could take this away from me. The house wasn't much, a modest 2-bedroom in a decent neighborhood, but it was mine. Well, don't just stand there gawking, my mother's voice cut through my moment. We're getting cold out here. I stepped aside to let them in. Mom, my brother Forrest, and his fiancée Jayla filed past me into the living room. I'd invited them for dinner to celebrate, thinking maybe this time would be different. Maybe this time they'd actually be proud of me. It's smaller than I expected, Jayla said, running her finger along the mantelpiece like she was checking for dust. But I guess it's cozy. It's perfect for Sandra, Forrest added, that patronizing tone he'd perfected since childhood. Not everyone needs a big place, right? I forced a smile. The kitchen's through here. I made your favorite, Mom. That casserole with the... It's a shame you bought this house, Mom interrupted, settling into my new armchair like she owned it. We really needed that money for Forrest's wedding. The words hit me like a slap. I stood there, oven mitt still on my hands, staring at her. Excuse me? Well, you know how expensive weddings are these days, she continued, not even looking at me. And Forrest's been counting on family support. I just think it's selfish to spend all that money on yourself when your brother needs help. Forrest shifted uncomfortably. Mom, we didn't ask. You shouldn't have to ask, she snapped. Family helps family. That's what we do. I set the casserole down harder than necessary. I worked for 10 years to save for this house. 10 years, Mom. And now you have it, she said with a shrug. But Forrest only gets married once. This house will always be here. Jayla perked up. Actually, we've been looking at venues, and there's this gorgeous place in the mountains that would be absolutely perfect. It's a little over budget, but how much over budget? I asked, though I already knew I'd regret it. Only about $15,000, she said, like it was pocket change, which is nothing compared to what you probably spent on this place. I looked at Forrest, waiting for him to say something, anything. He was studying his phone like it held the secrets of the universe. Forrest? He finally looked up. I mean, if you wanted to help out, that would be amazing, but no pressure. No pressure. Right. I just closed on this house 3 days ago, I said slowly. I have exactly $400 in my checking account and a mortgage payment due in 3 weeks. Well, you could always take out a home equity loan, Mom suggested. That's what houses are for, building wealth for the family. I stared at her. This woman who'd raised me, who'd supposedly loved me, was sitting in my living room suggesting I mortgage my future for my brother's party. Dinner's ready, I said quietly. We ate in tense silence. Jayla kept taking pictures of her food, probably for Instagram. Forrest scrolled through his phone between bites. Mom criticized everything from the seasoning to the way I'd arranged the napkins. This is really good, Sandra, Forrest said suddenly, like he'd just remembered he was supposed to be nice to me. Thanks. You know, once we're married, you should come over for dinner more often. Jayla's an amazing cook. Jayla beamed. I make this incredible salmon dish that's to die for. Of course, we'll need to get a bigger dining set first. The one we have now only seats 4. That sounds lovely, I said, cutting my chicken with more force than necessary. After they left, I stood in my kitchen washing dishes and trying to process what had just happened. My mother had looked at my greatest achievement and seen only what it could do for her golden boy. My brother had nodded along like it was perfectly reasonable, and his fiancée had spent the entire evening cataloging everything she thought was wrong with my home. I dried the last plate and put it away in my cabinet. My cabinet, in my kitchen, in my house. 3 days later, I woke up to the sound of water dripping. The basement was flooded. I stood ankle deep in murky water, watching my storage boxes float like sad little boats. The basement that had been bone dry during the inspection was now a swimming pool. "Ma'am, I'm going to need to shut off your main water line," the plumber said, wading past me with his flashlight. "This is bad." "How bad?" He crouched down near the water heater, examining the pipes. "Well, the good news is it's not a burst. The bad news is—" He paused, running his fingers along a section of copper pipe. "This didn't happen naturally." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "Someone took a hammer or something heavy to this pipe. See these dents? And this crack here?" He pointed with his flashlight. "This was intentional. Someone wanted this pipe to fail." I felt like I might throw up. "Are you sure?" "Lady, I've been doing this for 20 years. Pipes don't crack in perfect straight lines like this unless someone helps them along." He stood up, water dripping from his coveralls. "You got any enemies? Someone who might want to mess with your house?" I thought about Mom's words. "It's a shame you bought this house." About Forrest's uncomfortable shifting when she said it. About how he'd barely looked at me during dinner. "I need to make some calls," I said. After the plumber left, I sat on my front steps staring at the estimate. $8,000 in damage. My insurance might cover some of it, but there would be questions, investigations, and if they found out it was intentional. My phone buzzed. A text from Forrest. "Hey, heard about your flood? That sucks. Let me know if you need anything." Heard about it? I hadn't told anyone yet. I scrolled back through our recent messages. Nothing. I checked my call log. I hadn't called him. So how did he know? I walked back into the house, my mind racing. When I'd bought this place, I'd been paranoid about security. Living alone for the first time, I'd installed cameras in the main rooms and one in the basement near the water heater, just in case. I pulled up the app on my phone with shaking fingers. The footage from 2 nights ago showed nothing unusual. But yesterday morning, at 11:47 a.m., the basement door opened. Forrest walked down the stairs. He looked around, then pulled out his phone and made a call. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but I could see his lips moving. He walked directly to the water heater, like he knew exactly where he was going. Then he pulled something from his jacket, a small hammer. I watched my brother systematically strike the pipe in 3 different spots, precise hits like he'd been coached. After the 3rd strike, water began to seep out slowly. He stood back, admired his work, then said something else into the phone. I could make out the words, "It's done," from his lip movements. Then he left. I rewound the footage and watched it again and again. Each time, the betrayal hit deeper. This wasn't some random act of vandalism. This was planned, calculated. My phone rang. "Mom, Sandra, honey, I heard about your basement. What a terrible thing to happen so soon after moving in." "How did you hear about it?" A pause. "Forrest mentioned it. He's so worried about you." "I haven't told Forrest anything." Another pause. Longer this time. "Well, maybe Jayla heard something. You know how news travels." "Mom, I discovered the flood 3 hours ago. I've talked to exactly one person, the plumber." "Sandra, I don't like your tone." "My tone?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "My basement is destroyed, and somehow you and Forrest knew about it before I told anyone. Don't be ridiculous. We're your family. We care about you." "Right. You care so much that you think I should have given Forrest my house money instead." "That's not what I—" "It's exactly what you said, Mom. Word for word." She was quiet for a long moment. "These things happen, Sandra. Old houses have problems. Maybe this is a sign that you weren't ready for home ownership." The audacity of it took my breath away. "A sign? I'm just saying, if you can't afford to fix problems like this, maybe you should consider selling. Forrest mentioned he might be interested in buying it from you. Family discount, of course." I ended the call. I sat there staring at my phone. The video still paused on Forrest's face as he raised the hammer. My own brother. My own mother. They'd sabotaged my house and were now positioning themselves to buy it cheap when I couldn't afford the repairs. I copied the video file to 3 different devices. Then I backed it up to the cloud. Then I made another copy on a USB drive that I hid in my bedroom. For the first time in days, I smiled. Sunday dinner at Mom's house. Same routine I'd followed for years, except now I sat at the table knowing exactly what kind of people I was eating with. Sandra, you look tired, Mom said, passing the mashed potatoes. All this house stress must be getting to you. I'm managing, I replied, spooning potatoes onto my plate like nothing had changed. Forrest cleared his throat. Actually, I've been thinking about your situation. Maybe I could help you out. Oh? Well, Jayla and I have been looking at houses anyway. If you wanted to sell, I could probably take it off your hands. Save you the realtor fees. Jayla nodded enthusiastically. It would be perfect for us as a starter home, and you wouldn't have to deal with all those repair headaches. I took a bite of pot roast. That's so generous of you both. Family helps family, Mom said, echoing her words from my dinner party. Speaking of family, Forrest said, we've decided to expand the guest list for the wedding. Jayla's sorority sisters, some of my college buddies. It's going to be amazing. How exciting, I said. I'm sure it'll be beautiful. The only thing is, Jayla jumped in, with the bigger guest list, we need a bigger venue, and the catering costs are going up, but it's worth it for our special day. Forrest reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I know things are tight with your house situation, but if you could help out even a little bit, it would mean everything to us. I looked down at his hand on mine, the same hand that had held the hammer. How much are we talking about? Maybe 20,000, Jayla said hopefully. I know it sounds like a lot, but $20,000. I let the number hang in the air. You could get a home equity loan, Mom suggested. Banks love giving those out. Or, Forrest said, his voice getting more animated, if you sold the house to me, you could use part of that money for the wedding. It's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I pulled my hand away and reached for my water glass. You know what's funny? I was just thinking about how much I love that basement, even with all the water damage. Forrest's fork paused halfway to his mouth. The basement? Yeah, it's got such character. And the security camera down there caught the most interesting footage. The table went very quiet. Security camera? Mom asked. Oh, yes. I had them installed when I moved in. You can never be too careful these days. I smiled at Forrest. The one by the water heater has an excellent view. Jayla looked confused. View of what? Everything, I said simply. Forrest set down his fork. Sandra, what are you getting at? Nothing at all. I'm just saying it's amazing what technology can capture these days. Every detail, every face, every deliberate action. Mom's face had gone pale. I think you're being paranoid, honey. Am I? Because I've been getting the strangest calls from neighbors. Apparently there's been some gossip going around about me being unstable and resentful. Funny how these rumors started right after my housewarming dinner. People talk, Forrest said, but his voice was strained. You can't control what people say. True, but you can control what you say, and to whom. I took another bite of pot roast. This is delicious, Mom. What's your secret? Sandra, I don't like where this conversation is going, Mom said. Neither do I, but here we are. Jayla looked between us, clearly sensing the tension but not understanding it. Maybe we should talk about something else. Good idea, I said. Forrest, how's work going? Still doing construction? Yeah, why? Just curious about your tool collection. You always were handy with a hammer. He pushed back from the table. I think I need some air. Sit down, Mom snapped at him. Then to me, Sandra, whatever you think you know. I don't think anything, Mom. I know exactly what happened. The question is, what are we going to do about it? You're being ridiculous, Mom said, but her hands were shaking as she reached for her wine glass. Am I? Because my insurance company is very interested in my security footage. They love having clear evidence when investigating claims. Forrest sat back down heavily. Look, Sandra. No, you look. I set down my fork and leaned forward. I worked 10 years for that house. 10 years of saving every penny, eating ramen, wearing the same clothes until they fell apart. And you destroyed it because you wanted wedding money. That's not, Jayla started. It's exactly what happened. And now you're sitting here asking me to take out a loan to pay for your party after you sabotaged my home. The room was dead silent except for the ticking of Mom's kitchen clock. What do you want? Mom finally asked. I smiled and picked up my fork again. Right now, I want to finish this delicious dinner with my loving family. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is regarding your property complaint filing. Please call to discuss your case. I showed them the screen. Looks like someone filed a complaint about my property standards, trying to get the city to force me to sell. I looked directly at Forrest. Any idea who might do something like that? He wouldn't meet my eyes. Well, I said, standing up and grabbing my purse. This has been lovely, but I should get home. I have some very interesting phone calls to make. Aunt June's house always smelled like lavender and fresh bread. She opened the door before I could knock, like she'd been watching for me. Well, look what the cat dragged in, she said, pulling me into a hug. You sounded upset on the phone. I need to talk to someone who won't lie to me. She studied my face with those sharp eyes that miss nothing. That bad, huh? Come on, I just made tea. We settled into her living room, the same floral couch she'd had for 20 years. June poured tea from a china set that probably cost more than my car. So, she said, settling back with her cup, what's Veronica done now? How do you know it's about Mom? Honey, you only get that particular look when you're dealing with your mother. I've seen it since you were 12 years old. I took a sip of tea, trying to figure out where to start. Do you think I'm selfish for buying my house? June nearly choked on her tea. Selfish? For buying your own home with your own money? Mom thinks I should have given the money to Forrest for his wedding instead. Of course she does. June set down her cup with a sharp clink. Let me guess. She said something about family helping family? Word for word. That woman has been using that line to manipulate people for 40 years. She used it on me when she wanted money for Forrest College. Used it on your father before he finally had enough and left. I looked up sharply. She asked you for money for Forrest College? $20,000. Said it was a family investment in his future. June's voice was bitter. I gave it to her because I'm an idiot. You know how much he thanked me? 0. Because he never knew I paid for half his education. She never told him? Of course not. Then he might feel obligated to someone other than her. June leaned forward. Sandra, your mother has spent your entire life making sure you knew you came second to that boy. And now she's angry because you finally did something for yourself. The words hit harder than I expected. I just wanted her to be proud of me. Just once. Oh, sweetheart. June reached over and squeezed my hand. She is proud of you. That's the problem. What do you mean? You think she doesn't see how hard you've worked? How you've built a life without needing anyone? She sees it, and it terrifies her. Because if you don't need her, she can't control you. I stared into my teacup. There's more. I figured there might be. I told her about the basement, about the security footage, about the property complaint and the rumors. June listened without interrupting, her expression growing darker with each detail. That little bastard, she said when I finished. And Veronica helped him plan it? I heard her voice on the phone when he was down there. June stood up and started pacing. 40 years I've watched that woman poison everything she touches. But this? She turned to face me. This is criminal. I have proof. Good. What are you going to do with it? I don't know yet. June sat back down, her voice gentler now. Can I tell you something about your mother? Something I probably should have told you years ago? I nodded. When you were born, she was furious. Not at you, but at the situation. She'd had Forrest, and he was perfect in her eyes. Then you came along, and you were... June paused, choosing her words carefully. You were different, quieter, more observant. You didn't need her the way Forrest did. So she decided I wasn't worth her time? No, she decided you were a threat. Even as a baby, you were more independent than Forrest. You slept through the night earlier, walked earlier, talked earlier. And every milestone you hit made her realize that you might not need her forever. I felt tears building behind my eyes. So she made sure I knew I wasn't the favorite. She made sure you knew your place, and your place was always supposed to be supporting Forrest. June's voice was fierce now, but you broke the pattern. You got educated, got a good job, bought a house. You proved you didn't need her approval to succeed. And now she's trying to tear it all down. Because if you can make it without her, what does that say about Forrest? He's 28 years old and still running to mommy for money. My phone buzzed. A text from Forrest. We need to talk. Can you come over tonight? I showed June the message. Don't go, she said immediately. Whatever they're planning, it's not good. I have to face them eventually. Not alone, you don't. June stood up. I'm coming with you. June, you don't have to. Yes, I do. I've been watching Veronica bully you for 30 years, and I've kept my mouth shut because I thought it was family business. But this isn't family business anymore. This is war. She walked to her kitchen and came back with a small digital recorder. What's that for? Insurance, she said, slipping it into her purse. If they want to talk, let's make sure we remember every word. I didn't go to Forrest that night. Instead, I called my coworker Corbin. Sandra, it's almost 9. Everything okay? I need a favor, a big one. Shoot. You still have that friend who works in family law? There was a pause. Yeah, Marcus. Why? I need to know about recording laws and property damage and fraud. Jesus, Sandra, what's going on? I told him everything. The basement, the footage, the property complaint. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. You need to talk to Marcus tomorrow. But Sandra, don't do anything stupid tonight. Define stupid. Don't confront them. Don't threaten them. Just document everything and let the law handle it. The law moves slowly, Corbin. They're not going to stop. Promise me you won't do anything tonight. I promise. I hung up and immediately started working on my slideshow. The next morning, I met Marcus at a coffee shop downtown. He was younger than I expected, with kind eyes and a serious expression. Corbin filled me in on the basics, he said, sliding into the booth across from me. You have video evidence of your brother damaging your property? Clear as day. I showed him the footage on my phone. He watched it twice, taking notes. This is definitely criminal property damage. Probably conspiracy if your mother was involved in planning it. The property complaint filing could be harassment or an attempt to defraud. What can I do about it? Legally? File a police report? Press charges? Sue for damages? He looked up from his notes. But you're not asking about legal options, are you? What do you mean? You're asking what you can get away with, what you can do to them without getting in trouble yourself. I didn't answer. Sandra, I get it. Family betrayal hits different. But if you're planning some kind of revenge, you need to be very careful. Document everything, stay within the law, and don't give them ammunition to use against you. What if I just shared the truth with other family members? Truth isn't defamation. As long as you're not lying or embellishing, you can tell anyone anything that actually happened. I left the coffee shop with a plan forming in my mind. That afternoon, I called my cousin Viviana. Sandra, how's the new house? That's actually why I'm calling. I wanted to invite everyone over for a family dinner. Kind of a proper housewarming. That sounds lovely. When? This Sunday. I was thinking of making it special. Maybe put together a little slideshow about the house, the renovation process. You know how much Aunt June loves family photos. She'll eat that up. Should I bring anything? Just yourselves. Oh, and Viviana, make sure everyone comes. I really want the whole family there. Even Forrest and your mom? Things seem tense at June's birthday party. Especially them. This is about bringing the family together. After I hung up, I spent the rest of the week gathering evidence. I had Corbin help me get screenshots of text messages between Forrest and Jayla. His friend at the phone company owed him a favor, and apparently Jayla had been very chatty about their plans. Look at this one, Corbin said, pointing at his laptop screen. Jayla to her sister. Forrest says Sandra's house will be perfect for us once she's forced to sell. She can't afford the repairs. And this one, I said, scrolling down. Forrest to his friend Mike. The basement thing worked perfectly. Mom was right about hitting the pipe in multiple spots. They're not very smart, are they? Arrogance makes people sloppy. I spent Saturday night editing my slideshow. It started innocently enough. Photos of me painting walls, installing fixtures, arranging furniture, happy music, cheerful transitions. Then, about halfway through, the tone shifted. The security footage appeared without warning. Clear, time-stamped video of Forrest entering my basement with purpose. The audio was perfect. You could hear him talking to Mom on speakerphone. Are you sure about this? Her voice came through clearly. What if she finds out? She won't. And even if she does, what's she going to do? Call the cops on her own family? Just make sure you hit it in the right spots. It needs to look like normal wear and tear. The footage showed him examining the pipe, then striking it methodically. 3 precise hits, exactly where Mom had told him. It's done, he said into the phone. Should start leaking in a day or two. Good. Maybe this will teach her that family comes first. I added the text messages as slides after the video. Screenshot after screenshot of them planning my downfall, celebrating my misfortune, and plotting to buy my house cheap. The final slide was simple. Family comes first. But which family? Sunday morning, I cleaned the house until it sparkled. I cooked all afternoon. Roast beef, mashed potatoes, green beans, fresh rolls. The dining room table was set with my grandmother's china, candles flickering in the center. At 5 o'clock, they started arriving. Viviana and her husband, Uncle Robert and his wife, Aunt June, who gave me a knowing look as she handed me a bottle of wine. Everything ready, she whispered. Everything. Forrest and Jayla arrived fashionably late, followed by Mom. They all complimented the house, the food, the ambiance. Forrest even hugged me. This is really nice, Sandra. I'm glad we're all together. Me too, I said, smiling. I have something special planned for after dinner. Oh? Mom asked. A little slideshow about the house. I thought everyone might enjoy seeing the journey. That sounds wonderful, Viviana said. I love family presentations. We ate dinner, everyone laughing and talking. Forrest told stories about work. Jayla showed off her engagement ring. Mom complimented my cooking for the first time in years. It was almost perfect. Almost. Okay, everyone, I said, standing up as I cleared the dessert plates. Time for the main event. Everyone gather in the living room. I'll get the projector set up. They filed into the living room, settling onto couches and chairs, wine glasses in hand. I dimmed the lights and picked up the remote. This is a story about family, I began, about coming home, and about the people who are supposed to support you no matter what. I pressed play. The first few minutes played exactly as I'd planned. Photos of me painting walls, installing light fixtures, arranging furniture. Everyone smiled and made appreciative comments. Oh, Sandra, you did such a beautiful job, Viviana said. The kitchen looks amazing, Uncle Robert added. Forrest was relaxed, arm around Jayla on the couch. Mom sat in the armchair, wine glass in hand, actually looking proud for once. I love seeing the transformation, Jayla said. It's like those home improvement shows. Just wait, I said. It gets more interesting. The music shifted from cheerful to somber. The photos changed from renovation shots to the flooded basement. Everyone leaned forward. Oh no, Viviana gasped. What happened? Water damage, I said simply. But here's the interesting part. The security footage began playing. Crystal clear, time-stamped video of my basement door opening. Forrest appeared on screen, looking around carefully before pulling out his phone. The room went dead silent. Sandra, Mom said slowly, what is this? Just watch. Forrest's voice came through the speakers, talking to someone on the phone. Yeah, I'm here. Where exactly should I hit it? Mom's voice responded clearly. Near the joints. 3 spots should do it. Make sure it looks natural. Jayla's hand flew to her mouth. Oh my God! On screen, Forrest pulled a hammer from his jacket and approached the water pipe. He examined it carefully, then struck it precisely where Mom had instructed. Forrest, Uncle Robert said, his voice barely a whisper. It's done, Forrest said into the phone on the video. Should start leaking in a day or 2. Good, Mom's voice replied. Maybe this will teach her that family comes first. I paused the video. The room was so quiet I could hear the refrigerator humming in the kitchen. Forrest stood up abruptly. Sandra, I can explain. Sit down, Aunt June said sharply. Let her finish. There's more, I said, advancing to the next slide. Text messages. Screenshot after screenshot filled the screen. Aren't Jayla's messages to her sister about how they'd get my house cheap? Forrest's text to his friends about the basement thing working perfectly. Mom's messages to her bridge club about how I was unstable and couldn't handle homeownership. Viviana was staring at the screen in horror. They planned this whole thing. The property complaint too, I said, clicking to the next slide. Filed anonymously, but the IP address traces back to Forrest's apartment. You traced IP addresses? Uncle Robert asked. I have friends who know computers. Jayla was crying now. Forrest, how could you do this to your own sister? She wasn't supposed to find out, he said weakly. That makes it better, Viviana snapped. Mom finally found her voice. Sandra, turn this off right now. Why? Embarrassed? You're humiliating your family. I'm showing my family who you really are. We're your family, Mom shouted, standing up. We raised you. We loved you. You sabotaged my house because I wouldn't give you money for Forrest's wedding. We needed that money. For what? A party? While I'm supposed to live in a flooded basement? Aunt June stood up slowly. Veronica, I have watched you manipulate this girl for 30 years. But this? She gestured at the screen. This is criminal. Stay out of this, June. No, I'm done staying out of it. June's voice was ice cold. You destroyed her property. You filed false complaints. You spread lies about her mental state. All so your precious boy could have a fancy wedding. Forrest was pale as a sheet. It wasn't supposed to be this bad. The damage was supposed to be minor. Minor? I laughed bitterly. $8,000 in damage is minor? We were going to help you fix it, Mom said desperately. After I sold you the house at a loss? Jayla was sobbing openly now. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know they were going to do this. But you knew about the plan to buy the house cheap, I said, clicking to her text messages. You were excited about it. I thought it was just business. Destroying someone's home is just business? Uncle Robert cleared his throat. Sandra, what do you want to do about this? I looked around the room. At Forrest, who couldn't meet my eyes. At Mom, who was clutching her wine glass like a weapon. At Jayla, mascara running down her cheeks. At my extended family, who were seeing the truth for the first time. I want them to understand something, I said quietly. I worked 10 years for this house. 10 years of 60-hour weeks, ramen dinners, and second-hand clothes. I saved every penny because I wanted something that was mine. Something nobody could take away from me. Sandra, Forrest started. I'm not finished. My voice was steady, controlled. You took a hammer to my dreams because you thought your party was more important than my life. You filed false complaints to try to force me out of my home. You spread rumors to make people think I was crazy. We're family, Mom said weakly. No, I said, standing up. Family doesn't do this to each other. Family celebrates your success, not sabotages it. I picked up a manila envelope from the coffee table. These are copies of everything. The video, the text messages, the property complaint, the insurance fraud documentation. What are you going to do with those? Forrest asked, his voice barely audible. I smiled for the first time all evening. Now that's the interesting part. I opened the manila envelope and pulled out a stack of papers. One copy goes to the police for criminal charges, property damage, conspiracy, filing false reports. Forrest's face went white. Sandra, please. Another copy goes to my insurance company. They're very interested in clear evidence of intentional damage. Turns out insurance fraud is a felony. Mom lunged for the envelope. Give me those. Aunt June stepped between us. Sit down, Veronica. And this copy, I continued, holding up another set, goes to the housing authority. They take false complaints very seriously, especially when someone tries to manipulate city resources for personal gain. You're destroying your own family, Mom said, her voice shaking. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just showing everyone what you already destroyed. Jayla was hyperventilating. Forrest, do something. What am I supposed to do? He snapped at her. She has everything on video. You could try apologizing, Viviana said coldly, though it's a little late for that. I'm sorry, Forrest said quickly. Sandra, I'm so sorry. It was stupid. I was desperate. Desperate for what? A bigger wedding? Jayla wanted... Don't you dare blame this on me, Jayla screamed. You told me your sister was being selfish. You said she owed you. She does owe me, Mom shouted. We raised her. We fed her. We put a roof over her head. For 18 years, I said calmly. I've been taking care of myself for 15 years since then. I don't owe you anything. Uncle Robert was shaking his head. Veronica, how did you think this would end? She was supposed to sell the house and help her brother. That's what family does. A family doesn't commit crimes, Aunt June said. Family doesn't destroy each other's property. It was just a pipe, Mom yelled. It was my home, I yelled back, finally losing my composure. It was the first thing I ever owned that was truly mine, and you destroyed it because you couldn't stand that I succeeded without you. The room erupted. Forrest was arguing with Jayla. Mom was screaming at Aunt June. Viviana was on her phone, probably texting her husband about the drama. I walked to the kitchen and came back with another envelope. There's more, I said loudly. Everyone stopped talking. The basement wasn't your only plan, was it? I pulled out more papers. The rumors you spread about my mental health. The calls to my workplace suggesting I was unstable. The anonymous tip to my mortgage company questioning my income verification. Forrest's mouth fell open. How did you... Phone records, email traces, security footage from my office building showing you in the lobby talking to my supervisor. I smiled. You really thought I wouldn't figure it out? Sandra, Mom said desperately, we can fix this. We can make it right. How? By paying for the damage you caused? By retracting the lies you told? By giving me back the peace of mind you stole? We'll pay for everything, Forrest said. The repairs, the insurance deductible, whatever you want. With what money? You're broke. That's why you needed my house money in the first place. Jayla stood up abruptly. I can't do this anymore. Forrest, I'm going home. Jayla, wait. No, I'm not marrying someone who would do this to his own sister. I'm not becoming part of this family. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. Jayla, please. Forrest chased after her. We heard the front door slam, then a car engine starting. Look what you've done, Mom said to me. You've ruined his engagement. I ruined his engagement? I laughed. He ruined his engagement when he took a hammer to my basement. He was trying to help you by destroying my property, by showing you that you needed family. Aunt June stood up. Veronica, I've heard enough. You're delusional. Don't you start with me, June. I'll start and I'll finish. You've spent 30 years poisoning this family against Sandra because she didn't need you the way Forrest does. And now you've committed actual crimes because you can't stand that she's successful. She's not successful. She's selfish. She bought a house with her own money. How is that selfish? Because she should have helped her brother. Her brother is 28 years old, Viviana shouted. He should be helping himself. Forrest came back in looking defeated. She's gone. She won't answer her phone. Good, I said. She deserves better than this family. Sandra, please, he said, tears in his eyes. I'll do anything. I'll pay you back. I'll confess to the police myself. Just don't press charges. I looked at him for a long moment. My little brother, who I'd protected from bullies in school, who I'd helped with homework, who I'd lent money to more times than I could count. You know what the worst part is? I said quietly. I would have helped you. If you just asked me honestly, explained your situation, I would have found a way to help with the wedding. You would have? Of course I would have. You're my brother. But instead, you decided to destroy my life to get what you wanted. I walked to the mantelpiece and picked up a certified letter. This is a restraining order. You're not allowed within 500 feet of my house or my workplace. Sandra. And this, I said, holding up another document, is a civil lawsuit for damages, emotional distress, and punitive damages. My lawyer thinks we can get triple damages because it was intentional. Mom was crying now. You're destroying your own family. No, Mom. You destroyed it the day you decided I wasn't worth as much as Forrest. I'm just making sure everyone else knows it too. I looked around the room at my extended family. Thank you all for coming. I think you've seen enough. One by one, they filed out. Uncle Robert patted my shoulder. Viviana hugged me tight. Aunt June was the last to leave. I'm proud of you, she whispered. It's about time someone stood up to her. After they left, I sat alone in my living room, surrounded by the evidence of my family's betrayal. The house was quiet except for the sound of my own breathing. For the first time in weeks, I felt free. The doorbell rang on a Tuesday morning 3 weeks after the dinner. I opened it to find Forrest standing on my porch, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Sandra, please, can we talk? You're violating the restraining order. I know. I don't care. I need to tell you something. I kept the door mostly closed, my hand on my phone. You have 2 minutes. Mom's in the hospital. That stopped me cold. What happened? Stress-induced heart episode. She collapsed at work yesterday. His voice cracked. She keeps asking for you. I'm sure she does. Sandra, please. Whatever you think of me, whatever I did, she's still our mother. Our mother who helped you destroy my house. I know. I know what we did was unforgivable. But she's scared. The doctors say the stress from all this legal stuff is making her worse. I stared at him through the gap in the door. So you want me to drop the charges so Mom feels better? I want you to see her. Just once. Let her apologize. She had 3 weeks to apologize. She chose to hire a lawyer instead. The lawyer was my idea. I thought we could fight it. He ran his hands through his hair. I was wrong about everything. Yes, you were. Jayla left me. I know. Viviana told me. She said she couldn't marry someone who would hurt his own family. She was right. He looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. I lost everything, Sandra. My fiancé, my relationship with you, Mom's health, all for a stupid wedding that's never going to happen. You didn't lose everything, Forrest. You threw it away. I know, God, I know. He was crying now. I've been thinking about it every day, about how I used to look up to you when we were kids, how you always protected me, And I repaid that by destroying the thing you worked hardest for. I opened the door a little wider. Why did you do it? Because Mom convinced me you owed us. She said you were being selfish, that family was supposed to come first. She made it sound like you were betraying us by not helping. And you believed her. I wanted to believe her. It was easier than admitting I was a 28-year-old man who couldn't afford his own wedding. He wiped his eyes. I was embarrassed, ashamed, and instead of dealing with that, I let her convince me that you were the problem. You took a hammer to my basement, Forrest. I know. I replay it every night. I see your face when you found the damage, and I hate myself for it. I studied his face. The arrogance was gone. The entitlement was gone. He looked broken. What do you want from me? Nothing. I don't deserve anything from you. I just want you to know that I'm sorry, really, truly sorry. And if seeing Mom would help you get closure or help her get better, maybe it's worth considering. My phone buzzed. A text from Aunt June. Veronica's asking for you. I'm at the hospital if you want to come. June's with her? She's been there since yesterday. She said someone needs to make sure Mom doesn't manipulate the nurses. Despite everything, I almost smiled. That sounds like June. Sandra, I know I have no right to ask you for anything, but could you at least think about it? I looked at my brother, really looked at him, the golden boy who'd never faced consequences for anything, who'd always gotten what he wanted because Mom made sure of it. He looked older now, tired, like he'd finally realized the world didn't revolve around him. I'll think about it, I said. Thank you. But Forrest? The charges stand. The lawsuit stands. What you did was criminal, and I'm not dropping it because Mom's sick. I understand. I wouldn't expect you to. He turned to leave, then stopped. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. For the house, for standing up to us, for everything. I should have said that 10 years ago. After he left, I sat in my kitchen drinking coffee and thinking. My phone rang. Corbin. Hey, how are you holding up? Forrest just came by. Mom's in the hospital. Shit, you okay? I think so. He wants me to visit her. Are you going to? I don't know. Part of me wants to see if she'll actually apologize. Part of me thinks it's just another manipulation. What does your gut tell you? I thought about it. That I need to see this through, one way or another. Want me to drive you? Actually, yeah, that would help. An hour later, we were walking through the hospital corridors. Aunt June met us at the elevator. She's stable, she said without preamble, but she's been asking for you constantly. Fair warning, she's still Veronica. Don't expect a complete personality change. I'm not expecting anything. Good. That's the safest approach with your mother. We walked to room 314. Mom was propped up in bed, looking smaller and older than I'd ever seen her. When she saw me, her eyes filled with tears. Sandra, you came. I came. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. I pulled a chair next to her bed. Are you? Or are you sorry you got caught? She was quiet for a long moment. Both, I think. I'm sorry I hurt you, but I'm also sorry that my plan didn't work. The honesty surprised me. At least you're being truthful. I spent 30 years trying to control you and you never let me. I resented that. I resented your independence, your success, your ability to be happy without needing anyone. Why? Because I needed to be needed. With Forrest, I was always the hero, the one who solved his problems, gave him money, made his life easier, but you never needed rescuing. So you decided to create a situation where I would need rescuing. Yes, and it was cruel and stupid and wrong. She reached for my hand. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know that I see what I did. I see how I failed you as a mother. I looked down at her hand holding mine, the same hand that had guided Forrest to destroy my basement. I forgive you, Mom, but I don't trust you, and I'm not dropping the charges. I know. I wouldn't either if I were you. The house is beautiful, by the way. even after the repairs. I love living there. She smiled weakly. I'm glad. You deserve to be happy. I am happy, finally. We sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Then she squeezed my hand. Will you come see me again? Maybe, if you keep being honest. I'll try. I stood up to leave. Mom, next year I'm hosting Thanksgiving at my house. You're invited if you want to come. I'd like that. Good. But you're bringing dessert. I'm not cooking everything myself. She laughed, actually laughed. Deal? As I walked out of the hospital with Corbin and Aunt June, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not because everything was fixed, but because I'd finally stopped trying to fix things that were never my responsibility to fix. So, Corbin said as we got in the car, how does it feel to win? I thought about it. Like I can finally go home. And I did. To my house, with my mortgage, and my repaired basement, and my security cameras. To the place I'd built with my own hands and my own money. To the home that nobody could take away from me. Because some victories aren't about destroying your enemies. They're about building something so strong that your enemies can't destroy you. I unlocked my front door and stepped inside. The house smelled like fresh paint and possibility. I was home.